Hello, this is Dodie from Deliberate Aging. Welcome to my podcast. Today I have the pleasure of being joined by Ana Reisdorf. She is a registered dietitian, and today she's going to speak to us about a hot topic in the weight loss industry these days, GLP-1 drugs. So Ana, welcome to the show. Okay, Ana, so let's get started with, why don't you tell us briefly about yourself?
Sure. So my name is Ana Reisdorf. I'm a registered dietitian who lives in Nashville, Tennessee. And I have been working actually the last 10 years in content creation, so mostly freelance writing. And as you know, some things have changed with writing over the last couple of years with the AI and all of the different things going on. And so at the end of last year, I thought, I need to change direction in my business. And these GLP-1 medications are incredibly popular right now. I'm a GLP-1 user myself. And I thought, what if I started something called the GLP-1 Hub, where I could provide quality information about these medications, because the things that I was seeing on the internet were like a little bit scary to me. And so I switched directions at the beginning of the year, and I took all of that knowledge that I have about how to create content, how to market yourself on the internet, how to do SEO, and created the GLP-1 Hub. And so now it has exploded in the last 5 months. And my goal really is to provide good education so people don't just lose weight medication, they actually become healthier. Because I think there's just so much misunderstanding, is like a lot of people just think, oh, I'm skinny, so now I'm healthy. And that's not the case. So my goal is to really help people use this as a tool to improve their health in a real way, not just like fit into some pants that they haven't gotten into for a while.
Okay, so it sounds like you're also coaching them on lifestyle. So for example, what to eat, how to exercise, that type of thing, in addition to taking this drug.
Yes. So that's what I want to focus on really, is like, how can you optimize your journey on GLP-1 while like losing the weight as effectively as possible, but not losing your muscle mass and not becoming malnourished. We've been so focused on obesity. Oh, everybody's obese, bad, and that's true, but malnutrition is a real thing. And you have to find sort of that middle ground between not being overweight, but also not being malnourished, because certain types of malnutrition, certain types of vitamin deficiencies and things will actually hurt more than staying overweight. So I want to sort of give that message, is like, how can you optimally eat? How can you optimally exercise by, the content that I create, products that I have, and things like that. So I don't directly coach people, but I have like support for them where they can, get the information that they need.
Okay. All right. So let me pose this question to you. So imagine two different clients come to you and want to lose weight. One only wants to lose 10 pounds. The other wants to lose 100 pounds. How would you differentiate, and what recommendations would you give to each of those?
Well, if they only want to lose 10 pounds, I think that sometimes we get wrapped up in like, oh, if I just could lose 10 pounds then things would be better. But, I think it's focusing on those healthy lifestyle the aspects of trying to lose weight and seeing where you can make the small tweaks. Like sometimes that 10 pounds can be just not drinking a glass of wine every day, or not snacking at night, or maybe working on getting those 8,000 to 10,000 steps every day. So the 10 pounds is slightly less, it's just more about getting those small habits and figuring out the one small thing that may be making you hold on to the 10 pounds. When you get into levels of obesity, like over 100 pounds, then personally, I really think that you need some kind of tool or medical support or something like that. Because when you're so overweight, there comes a point where the obesity makes you obese. Like you can't exercise because you can't move. Your hormones are so out of control, and like your appetite is just completely dysregulated. So it's almost like that you get into this cycle and you can't break out of it without something changing to allow you to do those habits. So a person that only needs to do 10 pounds, they can probably exercise, they can, do the things they need to do. Their hormones aren't completely out of control. But the person that so much weight, it's really a challenge. So that person I would probably recommend, working with a doctor and a dietitian to help them figure out what are the small steps that they can take that will start helping them get into a state where they can actually lose the weight. And whether that's GLP-1 or not, I don't, that's up to each individual, but it's kind of a different situation.
Okay. So do I understand this correctly? If you want to go on a GLP med, you have to have a doctor's prescription?
You don't necessarily, yes, you can buy them from these online pharmacies that will sell GLP-1 to you, but some of them are monitored by doctors and some of them probably are not. I would recommend, if you're taking a GLP-1, that would be the place that you start, because your doctor has more information about your medical history. They know you better. They can run labs. Some of these online places offer labs and things like that, but it's just a more comprehensive way to get care and to be successful on the medication. So that's always what I would recommend, is starting with your doctor, and then maybe they can help you get it covered by insurance, because the meds are very, very expensive. So that's always a good place to start. And then if for whatever reason your insurance doesn't cover it, or you rather go a different direction, or your doctor won't prescribe it, then you could look into these other options. But I think it's just the safest to always go with your doctor.
Okay. So can you tell us exactly what these meds do in our bodies to help us lose weight?
Sure. So they impact a hormone called GLP-1 or another hormone called GIP with the new medications. And there's actually another medication that's only approved for diabetes right now that targets 3 hormones. And so what these hormones do is they cause the feeling of satiety. So they come out at the end of a meal to make you feel full and tell you that you're done eating. But the problem is that naturally in your body, they're like short-lived. They're only around for like 30 minutes. And so that's why you get hungry again. So what they discovered is that they needed to find a way to extend the life of these hormones. And I'd love to know like how this conversation came about, but there is a lizard that lives in New Mexico called the Gila lizard. And that lizard can go like 6 months without eating. And they found that it has a specific type of GLP-1 in its saliva that allows it to feel full for 6 months. So they somehow, I don't know who went to looking at in the tongue of a lizard for this thing, but they somehow figured out how to take that form of GLP-1 that the lizard had and turn it into a synthetic GLP-1 that is what's in these medications to make you not be hungry. So basically it slows down the movement of food through your stomach. It makes it so you're not hungry. And it has these like crazy effects on like the craving and addiction centers of your brain as well. So when you take it, you start to feel like just don't really care about food. Like a lot of people with who are overweight, they have sort of an obsession about food. They call it food noise. So you're always thinking about what's the next thing I'm going to eat? Where can I go eat? Where can I find food? What should I do? Like all these thoughts about food. And it just gets rid of it. And they're finding that that's also applying to alcohol consumption. So like alcoholics are not wanting to drink anymore, smoking. So all sorts of addictions. It kind of like numbs that like obsessive need to indulge in some kind of thing, some kind of substance, some kind of food, some kind of alcohol.
Wow, that's really interesting. I mean, would it the
is.
potential that in the future they'd use it for like alcoholics?
100%. That's what they're studying, and they're trying to get approved for that.
Wow, that's really interesting stuff. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let me ask you a question then. So you just brought up 2 of the points that I see as maybe some of the side effects that aren't so beneficial. And number 1 would be if you don't feel hungry, how can you be sure that you're not being malnourished, that you're getting in all the nutrients and minerals and calories that you need? And number 2, if it's slowing down digestion, what does that do to your GI tract?
Sure. So let's start with the first one. So unfortunately, because you're not hungry, you're going to have to some extent force yourself to eat. There's many times where for me in my experience, like I just don't feel hungry. So I just want to go like all day with an iced coffee and nothing else. And I just know that that's not good for me. So particularly on foods that are high in protein, I at times just have to force myself to eat it because I know that my body needs nutrition. Um, you can also, get some vitamins and minerals from a multivitamin that obviously doesn't replace food, but you just kind of have to force yourself to eat at least the bare minimum of, you know, 2 to 3 ounces of protein 3 times a day, and try to eat some fruits and vegetables just to be sure you're not getting malnourished. And if it's to the point where you're just not hungry at all, you can't eat all, maybe you can talk to your doctor about going down on your dose. Maybe it's working too well for you.
Hmm.
So there is like a dose adjustment. There are people who just respond really well to this medication, and they just are able to lose weight on a lower dose. So it's just worth a conversation if you can't eat at all.
Hmm.
And then the second question is about the digestive system. So it does cause digestive side effects. Particularly nausea is the main one because the food isn't moving through there quite as quickly. And so you can feel like a little bit just kind of like nauseous. It can cause vomiting and constipation, depending on how bad that gets because of the slowing down of the digestive system. But those are the main side effects. There has been some stuff out there that it's causing gastroparesis, which is a permanent freezing of the stomach. And I haven't dug into like all the details of what people are saying about that. From a few things that I've looked at, it seems like it comes when some people are abusing the medication. And so I read a story about a woman who took like triple the dose because she wanted to lose weight faster, and then her stomach froze. I mean, so I think as there are lawsuits pending right now. And so I think as it shakes out and we see, what's going to happen, what they're going to come forward with, and we'll see what the side effects are. So I think that that's worth a conversation, and to know that that could be a risk is to have some kind of stomach paralysis. But the doctors that I've spoken to about it, they said it usually resolves once you stop the medication. So it's not like a permanent thing forever.
Okay, so that's a good segue into my next question. Once you start on these drugs, do you have to stay on it forever, or is there a point when you get to your weight loss goal and you can stop taking them?
I think it really depends on the individual. I can share my personal experience because I've gotten on and off the medications 3 times already, and the weight did not stay on. Like I literally felt pretty much within a month or so that my hunger was back and that I started slowly gaining the weight back. For me, I don't plan on getting off of it. I might try to go to like a low dose, especially if I see that I'm slowly like losing weight still. But I think for most people, because obesity is a chronic condition, you are gonna maybe have to stay on something for probably the rest of your life. And maybe it can be modified to where you take a little bit every 10 days or every 2 weeks or something, but you're going to have to manage it. Now, there are some people that possibly could get off of it if they completely change their lifestyle, if they adopt, working out an hour every day for the rest of their lives, like that kind of stuff. And so when I decided to get back on the medication for the third time, I had a conversation with a colleague who her focus is weight maintenance. And she was like, you can either get back on the medication or you can exercise an hour and a half every single day and eat 150 grams of protein every single day and like monitor this forever because you will gain it back, or you can just get on the medication and maybe find a little more balance. And so that was the direction that I personally chose to go. But the only study that's been done on people getting off the medication shows that most people gain the weight back, at least 75% of what they lost within like 6 months.
Okay. Okay, so can you speak to muscle loss? Because as I
Mm-hmm.
scoured the internet, I saw that one of the side effects was potential muscle loss. And in my mind, I'm thinking that most people, when they're trying to lose weight, say that person just needs to lose 10 pounds, would maybe increase exercise with the intention of building muscle to burn more calories.
Hmm. Yes. So the muscle loss is not a side effect of the medication specifically. Muscle loss is a side effect of rapid weight loss. When you lose weight, especially if you lose it quickly, your body tries to like find calories somewhere, right? And sometimes it goes to the lean muscle to find those calories that it needs. And so that you see that everything with any kind of rapid weight loss, you'd see that with a gastric bypass, you'd see that with somebody who's doing like some kind of extreme cleanse or whatever. So it's not the medication itself that's doing that. It's just like people are not eating enough protein or eating enough calories. And a lot of people are not doing the exercise that they need to be doing to at least maintain the muscle they have. So that's another thing that I've really been trying to focus on is getting that protein. So at least 100 grams a day of protein for most people, maybe even more. And you have to do some kind of strength training on this medication. So I am concerned long term for people's health, especially with their mobility as you get older, because you need that muscle so you don't fall and break a hip, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you lose all your muscle, even if you're not overweight, in the end, you're really not metabolically any healthier, and it could cause issues for you longer term, in that you don't have the muscle you need to stay active into your older life. So it really needs to be a focus is if you're not willing to do strength training, if you're not willing to do the exercise, then you shouldn't be taking the medication because you're doing yourself a disservice in the end by losing a bunch of muscle mass.
Very interesting. And so a lot of the harmful side effects, or I'm not going to say harmful,
Hmm.
that you see on the internet, I believe you're going to agree with me, that are not just related to GLP-1, but it's also rapid weight loss. For example, Ozempic face. Right? I
That's one
mean,
of my
that
favorite
one
topics. Yes.
you would get that from a gastric bypass surgery or just a dramatic weight loss, right? You don't just get it
Hmm.
from these drugs.
Right. So when you lose weight on your face too. And so you had fat filling out your face and now you don't. So you look older. And it's funny because on Monday I have a dermatologist who came on my podcast and he created a cream for your Ozempic face.
It's probably a bestseller, huh?
Yeah, he sent it to me. I actually really like it. I have like redness on my skin and it's like gotten rid of that. And I'm like, huh, interesting.
Hmm. Okay. Okay, so now you said you personally use this. So can you
Hmm.
walk us through like a day or a week of what exactly you do in terms of how often you take your drugs, what do you eat, how do you exercise, that type of thing, just to, inform us better of what to expect and how best to manage this.
Sure. So the medication is a once a week injection, and you can inject it either into your thigh, into your stomach, or into your arm. I like to do stomach because it doesn't hurt as badly. And so I'm lucky that my insurance covers the medication for me. And so I get like these pens. It's like a little click that you just click and then it's done. And so I take the medication once a week, and I've been able to stay on like some of the lowest doses. This month was the first month that I went up in dose for a long time, because I'd rather lose the weight slowly, like 2 pounds a month, than lose it quickly and encounter all those muscle loss issues and things like that. So that's sort of the approach that I've taken, which is fine with my doctor. And so I try to focus. I don't stress very much about food. I try to focus. I know I need protein and I know I need fiber. And so I build a meal around that. So I start, okay, what's my protein? And I try to have things on hand for lunch is always something that you need to get through quickly. So I have like those tuna packs on hand. I've been enjoying these little like snack plates that have like a salami and some cheese and some nuts and things like that in it. So I pick my protein first, and then I try to fill it up with fruits and vegetables, which is the fiber. Dinner, because I hate planning dinner, I've been doing meal kits. where they send the ingredients and you just cook the food. And so I've been doing some of those types of things because it's just with my children and everything's just a lot to try to figure out what's for dinner. And I always try to pick things that have that in mind. So where's the protein? Where's the vegetables? Or where's the fiber? Um, and so that's kind of how I plan my meals, is just like always thinking about those things first. And then in terms of exercise, I do a type of intense Pilates type thing called Legree. It's you're like on a moving platform and you do all these lunges and all this. And I find it very, very, very intense. And I have seen significant muscle gain from doing that for the last year and a half. And then I try to walk as much as I can, like go out with walking my dogs and walking with my kids and doing that, try just to be active in the day, because it's really easy when you work online to just sit all the time, 100% of the time. I have a walking pad in my office that'll take like 5-minute breaks, but it's really just walking. And then the Legree 3 days a week is what I try to do.
Okay. So let me just ask you a follow up on your nutrition. So do your children eat the same as you do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, they have their own, children have snacks and children have other stuff that they eat. But in terms of like our dinner and stuff like that, we all eat together the same food. As a dietitian, it was very important to me for them to not be picky eaters. So I, work with them on that. And one of them I have succeeded on greatly, and the other one is a work in progress.
How old are they?
9 and 7.
Oh, okay. I understand.
Mhm.
Okay. Let's see. So anyone out there listening who wants to lose weight, what is your most important advice?
I think that if you want to lose weight, I, I'm personally a fan of these medications. Losing weight is hard. Your body does everything it can to fight you because your body wants to stay the same, right? Your body, its only goal is homeostasis. It wants to always stay the same. So if you're open to it, I would recommend you trial it as, a tool. If it's something you don't want to do, I would really focus on eating more protein and fiber. So the same rules apply if you want to lose weight, even without the medication, and then seeing how much you can increase your activity levels. But the other thing is there's a lot of other underlying causes that make it difficult for us to lose weight. So hormonal imbalances, especially if we're in menopause, or we have some kind of insulin resistance, which most people do. Some of these things make it very difficult to lose weight. And so these are things that you need to address either with like a doctor or a dietitian to see if there's other underlying causes that are making it hard for you to see the weight loss that you want.
Okay, so my podcast listeners are age 50 and above.
Mhm.
So would you recommend a different approach for someone in that age category as opposed to someone who's much younger?
It's easier to lose weight when you're younger because your metabolism is faster, you have more muscle mass, your hormones aren't all, you know, messed up from menopause and all of the things. So it is easier to lose weight. A person who's in their 20s could probably lose weight just by, you know, cutting out soda or something. So I think it's just more dedication and effort if you're over 50 and really getting in that strength training and that exercise, maybe joining some type of structured program. I think Weight Watchers is going out of business or something, but something structured to where you have accountability, to where you're, working with somebody that can help you stay on track. But I think you do need to be more, strict with your diet and your exercise the older you get.
Okay. So we already said that, one of the latest trends in the weight loss industry are these GLP-1 meds, but also another trend that I keep seeing repeatedly is that we are deficient in protein and we should increase our protein consumption.
Mhm. I think that the protein is a little overdone. I mean, everything has protein. Didn't Khloe Kardashian come out with a popcorn with protein or something?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Um, anyway, I don't think we need as much protein as people are pushing. because really you can meet your protein goals with just a small amount of effort. You don't really need protein popcorn or protein in your bagels or protein in your whatever. So I don't think we're deficient in protein. I do think that people eat too much sugar and too many carbohydrates that are not the good kind of carbohydrates. So they're eating like crackers and chips and cookies and things like that, and they're not eating, the fruits and vegetables that they need. If anything, we're deficient in might be fruits and vegetables more than protein. So I just like think about it, pick a protein that you're going to have for your 3 meals, whether it be eggs in the morning or yogurt or something like that, and then pick 2 other protein sources, and between all of that you'll get what you need to meet your protein needs, and you don't need to put protein in everything.
Okay. So now, the sugar you touched on, I know we all consume way too much of that. What happens if you are on GLP-1 meds and you eat sugar?
Nothing will really happen necessarily. It's just high sugar foods are replacing the nutritious foods that you need. So if you can only eat a small amount and your choice is to eat 3 cookies instead of an apple, like you're missing out on vitamins and minerals because you can only eat a certain amount. When I started my career, I worked with people who were having gastric bypass. And so their stomach after the bypass is like the size of an egg. And so all we talked about is how to make that tiny amount as nutritious as possible. And while this isn't quite as extreme, you still want to focus on the foods that are giving you nutrition, whereas sugar really doesn't. And then if you overdo it on sugar, if you're just eating, whatever small amount on sugar, like that could slow your weight loss because your body is, just getting a bunch of garbage calories. So if you really want to have this medication be a tool to help you lose weight, you want to limit the sugar because it's not really doing anything for you.
Okay. Sounds reasonable. So is there anything that I forgot to bring up? Is there anything else you want to mention?
I just want people to know that, to kind of reframe, like these medications are incredible. We're finding so many new things about them, but they're also a medication that you need to take as a tool. So people are seeing it kind of like, as this is the thing that's going to fix all my problems. Like I saw somebody online the other day saying, well, I had 3 kids and my stomach looks weird. When is the medication going to fix the way my stomach looks? And I'm like, it's not. It's not a plastic surgeon. So it while the medications are incredible and very, very useful, and I think have a lot of important functions, you still have to do the other things. You still have to eat healthy. You still have to do the exercise. And it's not going to be a fix for all problems in your life. So I just feel like people get so crazy about them. And I just want them to find a little bit of balance.
Okay. So very interesting topic. This was a great subject. I was really interested in this. So how can anybody listening contact you if they want more information?
Sure. So you can visit my website. It's GLP-1, the number 1, hub.com. And I have a Facebook group of the same name. I have a podcast of the same name. I'm on Instagram under GLP-1 Hub. So they can reach out to me, or if they want to send me an email, it's hello@glp-1hub.com.
Okay. I'm just writing that down too so I can put it into the show notes. All right. Well, thank you so much, Anna. This is really great information. And I'm sure that everyone listening is, absorbing this because it's really a hot topic in the field and really good stuff. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Anytime.
Thanks for listening. This is Dodie from Deliberate Aging. Until next time, be well, friends. This podcast is presented solely for informational and educational purposes only. Use of information from this podcast is at the user's own risk. It is not intended as a substitute for the advice of your physician or other qualified professional. We are not responsible for any losses, damages, or liabilities that may arise from use of this podcast.